every year, especially. So, as you're reviewing, make sure you evaluate your 2020 results. Did any campaign you host every year just not work out at all when you tried to move it virtually? Go through the results for each campaign that you hosted last year, and make any adjustments to your 2021 calendar if you find some that just didn't work in the current climate. So you don't need to remove them forever, especially if they've worked before, but instead just think about postponing them until we're able to come back to something a little more normal. And then the last but most important action item you'll want to do is to make 2021 as successful as possible is to really identify your goals for the year and point out any key campaigns that are going to help you meet those goals. So really try to dig into your goals, make them super clear, and include measurable metrics along with each one, so you can easily tell if you're doing what you should be doing. And then once you have your goals and your measurable metrics, review your 2021 fundraising plan again to make sure all the campaigns you're planning on hosting are just going to help you meet those goals exponentially. So as I mentioned, I'll be talking primarily about what you can do with the tools included in your Give Local NRV site, but you can apply most of these strategies to any website you currently utilize. So in the next slide, I'm going to walk through some online campaigns you could run. Then I'll discuss a few of those in detail. And then after that, I'll show you where on the Give Local NRV site you can find them. So your Give Local NRV site gives you the ability to collect recurring donations, as well as a widget that you can put on your website to collect single or recurring donations. So some organizations use the widget so donors don't get taken outside of their nonprofit website. And then others just link their donate button directly to their donation form that comes with their Give Local NRV site. If you wanted to get really fancy, we do have an advanced subscription that gives you an embeddable donation form. But with the tools that are automatically included with your Give Local NRV site, the donation form and widget do work for most people. So your Give Local NRV site also comes with matching grant functionality. So basically this feature allows you to market a matching grant you've secured from your board, a major donor, or a corporate sponsor. So we found that donors respond pretty well to incentives like this. So we've spent a lot of time building out that functionality so nonprofits can really benefit from it. Peer-to-peer campaigns have been even more helpful in the past year since a lot of people weren't getting together for in-person events. Giving them the option of peer-to-peer ended up being super helpful for a lot of organizations that we saw. You and your supporters can create unlimited pages with your Give Local NRV site, so there's lots of potential there. And then lastly, your Give Local NRV site and hopefully, probably your current site, if you use something else, will give you reporting and other management tools to ideally make your life a little more simple. With our site specifically, your account comes with a comprehensive donation report, a donor retention report, which I'll dig into a little more later, as well as analytics for your fundraising, so you can review how your organization has done year over year. If you don't keep track of the metrics that you determine are important for your organization, there's really there's no way for you to really know if you're growing or doing better. So keeping an eye on your own nonprofit analytics, keeping an eye on your metrics that you've chosen for yourself are all really important as you're going through this year's plan. So a few campaign ideas that I really want to push as you start strategizing for 2021 are building a recurring gift program, hosting a matching campaign, really activating your peer-to-peer fundraisers, and then really amplifying those fundraisers through an event campaign. So I'll go through each of these different types of campaigns, and then as I do that, I encourage you to think through what would work best for your organization, or maybe you could try thinking or doing something outside of your norm this year, just to not only kind of switch it up a little bit, but try and see if there's something new that will work for you that you can then take into the future. I'm going to be highlighting each tool within the Give Local NRV site a bit later. So if anything does resonate with you, you can see where in the site to set everything up if you wanted to get started right away. So focusing on recurring giving can be a really great 2021 angle because it really allows donors to make smaller monthly donations that represent a long-term investment and commitment to your cause. So recurring donations are easy to set up and manage through the Give Local NRV site. Any donors that sign up for a recurring donation for your nonprofit through the Give Local NRV site, they're able to update their card. They can change the date their donations process. They can change the amount, and they can cancel if they want to, all through the platform. And then you as a nonprofit have visibility into how many recurring donors that you have, the amount of gifts in total that you get from those recurring donations, as well as how many have canceled, and then the amount that make up those canceled donations. So you have visibility into that so that you can, if anyone does cancel, you can kind of foster those relationships again to see if they'll be willing to sign up for a recurring donation once more. So recurring donations, is a fresh ask. So, you're not asking for a one-time donation, you're asking for their ongoing support and explaining, why that's meaningful to your organization. So it can really be a way to shake things up by making just, new messaging, fresh messaging. And then if starting a recurring giving program is something you're interested in, we do have some pre-recorded webinars about creating a recurring giving program in our webinar library. I will work with Ashley to get some of those maybe on the Give Local NRV site, and that way you kind of have access to these additional webinars to dive in even further. So there's really just 5 steps to creating a recurring giving program. So step 1 is, gathering data, which is going to help you figure out how to orient your program. What's your average donation size? How many recurring donors do you already have? How much do your regular donors give in a year's time? And then when you do have a good handle on how your donors are already giving, you'll want to move into setting goals for your recurring giving program. How many donors are you looking to have join your program? How many donors at each level would it take to sustain your nonprofit for a year? Take a look at all these factors and then come up with some goals for your program and set metrics that you can use to check in with your success throughout the year. Third is to create a name. This is probably the most fun part, but it is a program. So, you'll want a catchy name that's easy to remember and gets the point across. For example, maybe you're a food pantry. Your recurring giving program could be called like Food Pantry Heroes or Pantry Guardians or, something like that. You could probably think of something more creative than I can at 8 a.m. in the morning, but, basically picking something that, your donors and your overall organizational messaging like fits with, then, that's really the step there. And then when you're ready to start talking about, donor tiers and rewards, which is the basic structure of your giving program, to start off with, I would, recommend having at least 3 tiers in your recurring giving program when you launch. And then the last step is starting to promote it. You could, make that recurring giving campaign a standalone campaign for like a quarter or a month, or you could just include that recurring giving language in your email marketing throughout the year. So a question that does come up a lot when people are building a recurring giving program is, how this fits in with the IRS requirements that no goods or services can be exchanged for a donation. So I wanted to make sure I touched on it. The answer is pretty simple, in that if you're not giving gifts or providing services in exchange for donations, that's not what rewards are about. You don't want to offer valuable gifts for rewards because the value of those gifts should be much smaller than the amount of the donation, which for a recurring giving program, you'll want to think about in annual terms. So if your lowest donor tier starts at $10, over the course of the year, that's $120. So the value of your rewards for that donor should be less than that. So, we're talking about tokens like keychains, notepads, address labels, etc. If you do start offering, extremely valuable rewards, your donors may have to deduct the cost of the reward from the total amount of their donation before claiming their deduction, which, as I'm sure you all know, is sort of a pain. So, to keep the rewards small or even free, like recognition, is probably your best bet. And of course, if you're in doubt, ask your lawyer or have them take a look at your structure for your recurring giving program. That, again, just keep it small and based in gratitude, and you should be fine. But, always consult your lawyer if you have any questions or you're just not sure. So the next option I want to talk about is matching grants. Most nonprofits don't have, matching grant dollars just fall in their lap. It does take a little bit of work to go out and secure those dollars, but the payoff can really be worth it. Most donors love to see their gift have a bigger impact, especially if you have suggested donation amounts that describe what each donation level does. Donors can see how much further their donation will go, and they might be inclined to donate a bit more as well if they know that their money will be matched. So creating a matching grant also creates a sense of urgency if you allow your match to go on for just a limited amount of time or for a limited amount of dollars. So after the match has been met, their $10 donation no longer makes that impact of $20. Matching grants also provide a new and differentiated ask for a major donor or corporate sponsor. So instead of just asking them for a larger donation every year, you could offer them the opportunity to sponsor a matching grant and really make their funds go further as well. Especially if your match sponsor is a corporate partner, a matching grant helps them increase their philanthropic impact too. So it's a win-win situation. So I'll showcase the tool in a bit so you can see how it integrates seamlessly with your site to really help market that match to your supporters. And then lastly, adding a matching grant as a standalone campaign or in addition to another fundraiser just gives you more to talk about in your email marketing and your social media communications. It's just one more way for you to keep your messaging fresh and new to your donors so they continue to engage with what you put out there. Since a matching grant is ultimately just a large donation, you'll want to follow the same process as you would when securing major gifts. So prospect, cultivate, and ask. I touched on this in the previous slide, but people who you should consider as prospects for a matching grant are board members, major gift donors who have given large donations to your nonprofit in the past. Corporate sponsors are also good prospects because it's just a really fun, proactive way for them to get involved in a public way and draw attention to their philanthropy. So once you've laid out your fundraising strategy for the year, don't hesitate to start working on securing those sponsorships now. Really getting started early is the key. This allows you to be proactive, and if you're fortunate enough to be able to secure multiple matches for the year, it really allows you to be strategic with them. Are there any corporate sponsors that feel passionately or would partner well with a certain campaign you're doing? Are any sponsors able to make more than one match? What sort of match does your sponsor want to provide? A 1-to-1 match, 2-to-1, based on percent. Knowing all of this up front will give you the time to make the most of your matching dollars and align your messaging as well. And then also with the match tool on your Give Local NRV site, you can have more than one match running at a time. So, if you do get a lot of great responses, don't feel like you have to pick and choose just one. And then, at the end of the day, a matching grant is really a marketing tool. So in order to make the most of your matching grant, you'll really need to promote it. So the first step is going to the matching grant tool on your Give Local NRV site and adding it there. There are some marketing tools built into the platform for your matching grant, such as putting a sticker on your donate button when the grant's active, some changes to your checkout process to reflect the match, and the match gets listed on your nonprofit profile. But you'll also want to add some information to your story or your website about the match, especially if it's a big match, and just really go all out promoting it on your social media channels. Send out an email, let everyone know about the match. If people know about it, then they can donate, but obviously if they don't know about it, there's nothing that they're going to do. So countdowns also add urgency. So counting down and sharing your progress can be a really great way to get people excited and urge them to stop what they're doing and make a donation to your nonprofit. So peer-to-peer fundraising is also a great way to get donors engaged, because instead of just asking them to donate, you're asking them to step up and be fundraisers. So in that case, they would ask their family and friends to donate to your cause, and explain why your cause is important to them. And especially if you haven't done or actively recruited people for peer-to-peer fundraisers before, this can be a really fresh new ask that doesn't require a whole lot of effort from your organization. And just, as a note, most people who start a fundraiser also make a donation to their own page, sometimes several donations. So you're not missing out on their donations at all. You're just kind of getting more on top of what they'd normally give. And why this can be especially effective now is that it's an excuse to socialize, talk to friends and family, tell them about a cause that's important to them, and reach out for connection, which is also super important in our current and ongoing circumstances. And it's also a really great way to bring in more donors and new donors, because most people give to a nonprofit for the first time because someone they know asked them to. So they're going to be bringing in people who may be totally new to your organization, which is always a big plus. So asking people to fundraise for you is not like super complicated. You can and should try to get some personal outreach to your top supporters, pitch peer-to-peer to them as a way to do more and get involved on a deeper level that doesn't actually require too much work from them. Peer-to-peer is easy and can be done from home, from a phone. It doesn't take too much time, usually just some social media posts from them. And promise them your support as they step out to fundraise for you. That's probably one of the biggest barriers to people, choosing to be peer-to-peer fundraisers, is just they're not really sure where to get started or what to do first. So, some nonprofits provide fundraising toolkits for their peer-to-peer fundraisers with some draft emails, information about who to reach out to and when, etc. Mightycause has a lot of resources that you can amend to make your own if you did want to create a fundraiser toolkit, so you don't have to do it from scratch. But if you don't have the capacity, if let's say it's just you fundraising for your nonprofit, really it just works fine if you just make yourself available to support the people who do choose to set up peer-to-peer fundraisers for you. So if your nonprofit, let's say your nonprofit's a pro at peer-to-peer fundraising, one way to kick it up a notch is to try creating an event. Events on Mightycause are organized, peer-to-peer campaigns where individuals and a team of individuals can fundraise together with, some light competition. And each team and individual fundraising alone or as part of the team has their own page. So it's really great for larger scale efforts. Like if you can get at least 15 to 20 people to fundraise for Give Local NRV, that's awesome, and you should totally utilize it. And then a really important thing to note is that, on average on our platform, events do raise more than most nonprofits or individual peer-to-peer campaigns do on their own. So these are usually a really great way to bring in funds. And the event product just, it adds structure. You can create fundraiser templates to make it super easy for people to join. And you can really use it to complement your overall 2021 campaign message. And with our events, you do have more tools to manage an event than you would an individual fundraiser. And then most importantly, an event can provide that sense of community and belonging that's really important and meaningful right now. So this is a really awesome technique to get donors engaged and interested in your campaign. So I did, want to provide some fundraising ideas that you can use for events if you're, sort of wondering, okay, I'm on board with an event, but what do we do, especially if it's virtual? One of my favorite things is to see a board fundraising challenge. Fundraising and the financial well-being of your organization is and should be part of their commitment to your nonprofit. And so creating that sort of competition with an event is a really fun way for your board to publicly show their support. And pooling together, annual donations from your board as a matching grant, or having them use their annual donation or dues as a matching grant individually is also a great way to take a donation you're getting and turn it into more. You could also do something similar with volunteers and staff, or even coordinate a showdown between your staff and volunteers to see who could raise the most money. Readathons are also a perennial favorite, and providing, a suggested reading list will help people learn more about your cause. That could kind of be a cool spin on it. Virtual galas, a lot of people did that this year. You could sell tickets through the Eventbrite integration, get some peer-to-peer going for those, and, think of some fun ways to make, if you do put on a virtual gala, or really just any campaign that you do, you could make it, more interactive through streaming. So like, having guest speakers, musicians, and that sort of thing. And then something that I think is cool that we've actually seen a lot of lately is like art contests or photo contests. One organization I saw had a contest for artwork that was going to go on a new T-shirt, and we've seen a couple of pet photo contests where the winner of the contest is, the pet that raises the most money, because each donation is considered a vote for that pet or that photo, or whatever kind of contest you're running. So, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with events, with just fundraisers or teams, and I hope that these ideas at least give, get your wheels turning as you think of how you could make an event or peer-to-peer work for 2021. So what I want to do now is I want to actually go to the site to kind of show you where some of these tools are. So let me get out of this. So the first thing I wanted to show is the donation form that comes with your organization account through Give Local NRV. As you can see, when donors go through that, they can choose monthly right on the donation form. So as I mentioned before, some people will, have take the donation widget and put that on their website so people don't actually leave their nonprofit website. Others will take this link directly to their donation form and have their donate button on their nonprofit website link out directly to this page. So you could do it either way. Donors on either the widget or this donation form have that option for monthly. So as they go through, they can choose monthly, choose their amount, and then they, when they enter in their information for the receipt, it also creates an account for them, since with a recurring donation, we charge monthly for that money to go towards your nonprofit. Let's see. I also wanted to showcase the retention report that comes with your Give Local NRV site. So the retention report, especially if you have participated in Give Local NRV last year, can be super, super helpful. So you can filter the donations, retained or not retained, the time period. So basically this report will give you a quick snapshot of who donated to your organization last year through the platform, and then who you have not retained for this year. So this obviously, as we're just in January, is, you're going to have retained hardly anyone probably, but as the year goes through, I would definitely keep this report in mind, because then you can easily see, number of total donors you have, number of donors retained, percent amount of donations, so that you can easily see, I'm missing out on these, this amount of donations retained. And so then, to reach out to those people specifically, since, we talk a lot about, and I'm not really going to touch on it here, but we talk a lot about email, like segmenting your emails to make sure you hit the right donors with the right message. And the retention report really helps you to know right off the bat who you should be reaching out to say, hey, it looks like you haven't donated yet this year. You donated this much last year. Would you consider making a donation again? And maybe increasing it by 5% this year. We could really use the funds. Last year was a weird year, and we obviously aren't, letting up on any of the, good things that we're doing in the community. So I really wanted to highlight the retention report because it can be super helpful, especially if you've utilized the site previously too. Let's see. So I also wanted to just show what an event page looks like if you, maybe what I was talking about with events kind of resonated with you. If you did want to set up an event, this is what it looks like. The event is a little bit obviously more than just a simple fundraising page. You've got some metrics here that you can utilize. People can join the event as either a team or as a fundraiser. This is one that Radford University is hosting right now, for Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday. And so as you can see, they set up individual fundraisers for their different colleges. So, you've got humanities and behavioral, Davis College, and you're able to, switch around this leaderboard. So like, let's say you wanted to basically have your board go head to head in a fundraising event. You could have them each set up a page, and then each one would then be listed here with either the amount raised. You could showcase it with number of donors that they've received. So this is pretty customizable. And then, there's an activity feed and just a spot where you can showcase more information about what you're trying to do, why, etc. Let's see. So then I also wanted to, when you're logged into your Give Local NRV nonprofit account, this is, I'm logged in right now. So, you can see the ability to edit and all that good stuff. If you're interested in the widget, there's a little share button right here that you can click on and choose embed options. And that'll give you the widget that you can put on directly on your nonprofit site. And then you can also see here the match functionality that I talked about earlier. If you wanted to set up a matching grant, you can do that within the fundraising section of your dashboard. So you just go here and you can set up the matching grant within that tool. And then once you set it up, a sticker shows up on your donate button. If a donor clicks on that, then it brings them down to information about the match, so that they're able to easily see, how much is left, and how much it's for, the sponsor, if you've updated their logo, the name of the match, and all that good stuff. Let's see. So then really quickly, especially if you have utilized the Give Local NRV site last year, if you have unlimited fundraising pages, like I mentioned, with your Give Local NRV site. So if you wanted to set up new fundraisers for every campaign that you do this year, that's totally fine. Some people like to just utilize their organization profile page for all of their fundraising, and they just update this page as needed. So if you did want to update this page to, showcase whatever your current campaign is, you can always update the metrics or the progress bar, your goal for your organization, by logging in, and then you can click on the little pencil icon and you can edit the stats displayed for your metrics. This especially is going to come in handy if you participate in Give Local NRV again this year. You can come into your nonprofit account after you register and are approved, and update your metrics so that they reflect when early giving starts for Give Local NRV. And then if you do choose to utilize your page before Give Local NRV happens, you can edit this at any time. So if you wanted to showcase the amount for just a specific campaign prior to Give Local NRV, then this can be updated whenever you want. And then of course you can update your goal at any time, or you can hide the section if you want to. So this page is pretty flexible in terms of showcasing what you want people to see or what you don't want people to see. So it's really nice in that aspect. And then the last thing that I wanted to show is the checkout flow for you. You can customize your own donation form, and really, adding suggested donation amounts. And if you wanted to add amount descriptions, you can do that too. I especially wanted to highlight the post-checkout process. So you as a nonprofit can customize the thank you page that donors receive after their transaction goes through. So you have the tools up here to create a header. You can embed a video, upload images. You have a spot for a button, a customizable button if you wanted that on the page as well. Again, you want to steward your donor, so bringing them to the next step is a great way to do that through this button. And then within the post checkout process in your checkout flow, you have the ability to customize your email and receipt that your donors get as well. So after every donation transaction, donors will get an automatic tax deductible receipt. So we provide the standard IRS language on the second half of the receipt, but you have the ability to customize the top half. So that's something, if you do utilize this page, or if you have another fundraising or donation platform that you use, I would this is something, just a really easy and quick way for you to be able to continue pushing across your messaging, and especially when they reference that email and receipt later in the year, or they receive it in their email. You can just it's a quick way for you to get a thank you across before you send out a more personalized thank you or a handwritten thank you. This is a great way for you to get that thank you across as soon as possible, and kind of give them, again, thoughts on like next steps and everything in terms of what you want them to do next to help your organization. I think that was it for this. Let me go back and just do some final thoughts really fast. So, really quickly, some final thoughts, just again, really take advantage of your volunteers and board. I was talking to a nonprofit earlier this week, and they have a really good volunteer base, but because they weren't doing any in-person events, their volunteers were kind of just sitting around. So they really want, you really want to take advantage of keeping your volunteers engaged so that they are ready to step up whenever you need them to. And then, of course, your board. They should always be a really good source of support for your nonprofit. Email and social media marketing. As you're planning for 2021, make sure that you come up with a comprehensive email and social media, marketing plan. I mentioned previously, segmenting your emails, making sure that you're hitting the right donors with the right messaging. And that way, if you hit everyone with, please just donate, make a donation to my nonprofit as little as $10. If you're sending that same email to, donors who give you $500, that's, not going to resonate with them as much as other donors. So making sure that you're segmenting your emails and that you have, consistent social media presence. And that kind of goes into the next bullet point. Really making sure that you're trying to think out of the box in terms of staying in touch with your supporters. Streaming has gotten really big this year, since it's a really easy way for people to provide that next level of engagement. With social media posts, pictures and videos do a lot better with engagement than just a standard text post. So I would, every social media post that you're creating, or even email, include pictures in your email too. People are super visual these days, and their attention spans are really short. So if you're able to just get your message across really succinctly, then that will, they'll be able to take action on that. And streaming is a really great way that some nonprofits have kind of broken through the monotony. And, I've seen organizations give like site tours of, their nonprofit alone, just to give people a behind the scenes look. They've, put together compilations and stream that. So it's, I definitely get your wheels turning about that. How can you incorporate that this year and just provide that next level of engagement with your supporters? And then, of course, staying in touch with your supporters throughout the year, staying in touch with your volunteers throughout the year, whether that be just a quick note saying, thank you so much for all your support. Here's what you've helped us do so far this quarter. Not every email or not every social media post has to be about donating. That gets old really fast. So incorporating other messages in there as well to keep it interesting for your supporters helps you better stay in touch with them, and makes them want to engage with your nonprofit. So yeah, that is what I have, and I am at time. So I think we can do the Q&A now. Let me go ahead and stop sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask? I don't see any in the chat box right now. Maybe someone wants to come off camera and ask. Or stay on camera, or you don't have to. You can ask without coming on camera.
I just want to thank you, Dawn. I did a lot of your sessions, I guess, last year, setting the page up, and it was really helpful. So whenever I had a question, I think it was either Ashley or Laura or maybe you that was answering and helping sort it out. So if anybody hasn't used it, it really is, kind of not the most difficult thing in the world to do, and there's plenty of help available. So thank you for that.
Yeah, hopefully.
Say, let me reach out to my person at Mighty Cause. It's Dawn.
It's me. Hopefully, this was helpful in a sense of providing just additional ideas and, really some next steps for you guys to be able to take back. I feel like, I am in this stuff every day. And so I feel like sometimes it gets repetitive. So one of the biggest things for 2021, I just really encourage you to try and think outside of the box. And, really what's helpful is when nonprofits can network with each other, which is why I love this listening session, that you guys do, because you're able to kind of talk what worked, what didn't work. Here's, some new ideas that we've had, because, if you're able to come and think outside of the box, which from, I obviously don't know you guys very well, but a lot of nonprofits that I've run into just have a really hard time breaking out of, well, this has worked for us 5 years ago, and there's really not a way that they kind of think, how can we make this better? How can we make this work more? Or just kind of scrap it because it's 5 years old. So, not being afraid to really dig in and be strategic about your fundraising schedule, especially with, just probably needing to plan for virtual this year, at least through the summer. I would highly encourage everyone to do something different this year to see if that brings in more dollars for all of your missions.
I have a question. This is Ed Gralla. You said something about networking, and I'd like to know who attended. This meeting. I see names on the top, and I don't know what organizations they're affiliated with. So if that's okay with everyone or anyone, could they sign up, or could the Community Foundation let us know who attended and what groups they're affiliated with, so we can stay in touch with each other?
We can, maybe folks, if you want to put your name and email in the chat, or name and organization, just so we can see who everybody is here. So we don't pre-sign up for these, Ed. So we don't have a list, so to speak, but I think if people put them in the chat, we'll have that as a part of the recording, but also you can see everybody that's around.
Great. Thank you, Jessica.
Any other questions, or were there any in the chat box that I missed?
I was kind of curious to kind of ask the group sort of what you all are thinking for your organizations as far as fundraising. And also just getting some general information about sort of how you all are doing, financially as well. We're thinking about our grant making strategy in addition to fundraising. So understanding a little bit more from your organizations of what you're thinking in terms of fundraising for 2021, and then just kind of what position you're in these days. And obviously I know more money is better. So going beyond that particular, obvious understanding, sort of where you're all at right now with these things. Any thoughts there?
Hi,
And
I'm
we had
Mar-
some,
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead, Mara. After you.
I'm with DePaul Community Resources, and I mean, I think that we overall are we're a larger organization than some who are here and have pretty stable funding with respect to a lot of federal and state sources. But one thing we're always working on is diversification of our funding sources. And I think that's really our emphasis, is looking for a lot more private funding streams or things that just allow more flexibility. I think anyone who has experience with state and federal grants knows that, or those monies are tied to very tightly regulated, policies and licensure and grant guidelines that sometimes limit, what you can do in terms of programming or outreach. And so we're looking for more flexible monies where we can enhance and enrich what we're already doing in the community. So certainly these types of platforms are really critical for that. And I have to say, having been here at the initial launch of Give Local, of the NRV, giving days, that I really love the increased flexibility in terms of how this can be used in different ways. And I think we can take more advantage of that. We haven't probably yet. So
Helpful. Ryan, did you have something?
Yeah, I think that we were really fortunate last year with some generous donors. It was really scary, as it was for a lot of you all, but we managed to get through, and we were so thankful for creative ways that the town of Blacksburg and Montgomery County decided to give out some of their CARES funds. That was really, really good. We've recently started a sustainable donor program. It's in its infancy. Right now we're bringing in, I think, 500 a month consistently, which is more than we had before. So we're experimenting with that, and hopefully we can grow that.
That's great.
This is Vicki Culpepper with Girl Scouts. And first off, thank you so much for this, because it's been really enlightening. We just finished our annual report, and we're going after more general operating support. And the annual report this year was really exciting because I took a look at just where our money was going overall, and found that 88% of our budget is going towards programming, which made a difference in how I could actually position our grant asks, and then also how we position to our donors, to open up more opportunities, and then also to just basically redo how we're asking people. So that was just really enlightening, to basically say, hey, this is really where our money is going. And it's, 12% is taking care of salaries and office and property and everything else. So we're expanding into more federal, state grants, and then capital, because we need a brick and mortar, because our camp properties need a lot of improvements. So COVID is actually helping us in that respect, because girls aren't there. So, but that's really where we're going, just taking a look at the overall picture.
Really helpful. Anyone else on thoughts? What I think we have certainly heard in terms of when we're thinking about grant making, when we ask folks, is that the flexibility is really key. And so last year we only did general operating support grants and got a lot of good feedback about that and the flexibility it offered. So that's been really helpful feedback. But there are other thoughts you all have, either on sort of what you need, or how you're approaching fundraising this year. you certainly can share them here or always contact, you know, Ashley, myself, Laura, anyone, if you want to weigh in on those things. Yeah, Linda, go ahead.
Hi. Yes, we were very appreciative of grants that were general operating support. And last year we pivoted 2 fundraisers. The Scrabble tournament was virtual, and the Tri-Wizard Tri-Mile, the 5K, was virtual. Both of those brought in 50% of what they did in person. But certainly we're seeing, you know, that it's crucial to try to engage people in the community in our mission. So trying to continue to have online events this year, I think is important. It's just how to do that effectively because also our programming needs have dramatically increased. And so every time you do a fundraiser event, it takes away from the staff's time to do the important work of our programming. And so, you know, we're just making decisions about those 2 virtual events. One is, or wasn't virtual before, one fundraising events is spring and the summer. So this has been helpful, just thinking through how valuable that could be to put our time into that, because certainly having funds that aren't designated to certain projects is most valuable to us right now. And going forward, it feels like next year is going to be even scarier. It's just so many unknowns. So anyway, that's where we are right now. Thank you for your support and help.
It's helpful. All right. Well, Ashley, you want to tell us what's coming up next month and your announcements before we're done?
Yeah, let me share one more screen. Maybe. Okay, here we go. Okay, so as always, this call and all of our listening sessions are recorded and we post them on our website. So if you want to go back and listen to this call, or if you want someone else in your organization to go back and listen to this call, it'll be posted later this week. Our next call is going to be on February 18th, and it's going to be about the COVID-19 vaccine and everything that you need to know about it. We're going to have Bill Flattery with Carilion New River Valley Medical Center on, talking about when you can get the vaccine and just kind of some case studies in our area about the vaccine. We're also going to have attorney Eric Chapman on, who's going to be talking about all the legal implications that organizations need to know about the COVID-19 vaccine. And so we would love for you guys to join us at that listening session next month as well, because we know there's a lot of questions about the vaccine right now. If you didn't get the notice, Give Local NRV is now officially open for registration. I know a lot of you have already registered, but if you haven't, you can go ahead and register for that. And we have our first webinar on February 23rd at 2 o'clock. So you can get registered for that first webinar as well. And as Jess mentioned, we're really trying to figure out the best material to provide to nonprofits over the next few months. And so we've came out with a second COVID-19 survey. And really that's where we gauge you guys and what you're looking for. And so that we're providing the best material for you all in these listening sessions. And so we best know how to do our grants moving forward. And so we really do value your opinion. It really does help us as we are planning for this year. And so if you could please, there's only like 6 or 7 questions, take the time to do that survey. It also came out in an email yesterday as well. So those are all the announcements that I have for you today, but we appreciate you guys being on here and we hope to see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thanks for
all.
having me.
Thanks, Dawn.
Mhm.
Thank you, Dawn.